Not until they've had enough pain will they return to the sacred inner rhythm of ahimsa. And ahimsa is a Sanskrit word that means non violence or the least amount of harm to myself and all other conscious life forms. So you are very intentional about making sure you tend to yourself deeper than self care, actual self love, and then self mastery in a sacred rhythm, not by force, but in a gentle flow, a flow state of being focused on taking care of you before you take care of others. Make sure you check yourself and you have the energy and the capacity, or they are able to reciprocate and give you something in return that will help you back stay balanced in your energy so you're not dipping too low, but also making sure you're helping others so you're not up like crazy, crazy, crazy. Because in this dimension, it is best. It's best to stay balanced. Trust me, I like to be like this. I like to be like high vibrational. But I'm telling you, it's like in order so you're not like harassed physically or spiritually, sometimes it's just best to stay balanced. And it's sad, but it's so true. So if you've ever felt like that, as a woman, you feel harassed by seen or unseen forces, try to maintain your balance because you may be dipping too low, you may be up too high, and it's just really good to know where you need to be in order to have the most peace and to be in your natural sacred rhythm. You do have to test that out and find it for yourself and make sure your environment is cleaned out. So try looking at some YouTube videos about living more like a minimalist and get things cleared out of your space. Start burning some sage, incense, and start making sure you have your essential oils on hand to make sure your space is purified and the energies are good, because you may not always be able to live in the best building or the best house or the best neighborhood. Um, Even some of the nicest places you think that are so beautiful and nice and a good neighborhood, fence and all of that. And then when you, not until you move in, you get there and you're like, oh my God, there's so much going on. There's so much energy that gets trapped here or was already there. So when you're a sensitive person, when you are more than likely, if you're sensitive to energy, you're a spiritual person and you're a spiritual woman with spiritual responsibilities. And so that is why it is important for you to know your own energy so that you know when it's time to cleanse out and you know when it's time to activate extra healing modalities and spiritual practices to balance yourself, to balance your energy. That is our responsibility. And that's what we can do in our own space. So, definitely, I know you know a lot of people out there who say that they are healers and that they do energy work. Just be very careful and look out to make sure that they are purifying their energy before they go to the next person that they work on. So just make sure you are aware of how they carry themselves and their energy, their space, because you I've heard so many stories of women going places to retreats or going to healers and then they come back and they feel like even more out of balance. So they feel a little abused energetically, and that could be for many different reasons, but just wanted to make sure that you know that that is your responsibility to check them out and make sure you feel comfortable and safe before you start letting someone work on your body. It has happened to me, so I know it's real, where you feel like this is a another light person, a woman of spiritual work, and I she made me feel so uncomfortable that I had to leave in the middle of the session and recalibrate my own energy and take control of my own motions and then re-enter the space to try to um, just continue with the healing session, the things that we were doing, just because of the way that things were conducted before and during. So you have to make sure that you feel safe around somebody. And if you don't, then, take some time to go and give yourself that space. If you have questions, definitely reach out. This is something that, like I said, is a big domino effect. When you help one, and when you encourage another woman to seek help with her energy and her balance, her inner balance, and hearing her inner truth, and she's reconnected to that sacred rhythm within, it could be very transformational for her and the women who reside around her. So that is something that I just wanted to drop. That's something that was on my mind. I really want to make sure we are taking care of each other as much as possible when we have to encounter each other. But it is so good if you can get your alone space, if you can just go up in the mountain, take a hike, or if you can just go walk to the beach, or even just leave and go into a different room and close the door. And I find like turning the lights off and just being there in that energy just to bring your energy back in, taking a couple of breaths. Even what I just did, I did some coloring. I don't know where it is, but I love pencil coloring and things like that. I love my music too. I made sure I wrote and recorded my own music. So I put that on sometimes because sometimes the harshness of the music that is out there is just too much. And I like the words and the vibration of my own music because it's more in tune with my sacred freedom, my sacred frequency. And so I put it on and really tap into my own energy and my own inner voice. And this is how you just align with that sacredness of who you are and why you are here for this experience. Talk with your soul, talk with your inner child, and get back into sacred rhythm as much as possible. All right. Take care of yourself until next time. This is Zion HaMashiach, transformational coach. One mighty love.